Titans fans, we have a Will Levis update, and I'm going to tell you right now, it doesn't look too good. We'll talk to you about that and what all is in those details, along with Treylon Burks having a pretty good game yesterday, but was he worth that first-round pick? Well, we talk about what the future looks like for him right here on the Titans today, and this is exactly why you sub, because we're going to bring you the news right away, so we're going to know pretty soon here what's the latest with Will Levis and what's going to go on with him the rest of the season. Right now, we'll give you what we know for the current moment, but this is exactly why you sub. So hit that sub button. I'd really appreciate it. Plus, you're going to join one of the fastest growing Titans communities here on YouTube. Let's dive right into it. I'm your host, Jay Sanders, and this comes from Jeremy Fowler talking about Will Levis last evening, saying that he is dealing with a high ankle sprain. Now, it is still uncertain whether Tennessee is going to choose to continue to play him this year, sit him this week, not play him this week, but play him later in the season. As of right now, it's kind of all unknown. All we know is that sources have confirmed that it's a high ankle sprain, and that's not exactly what you want to hear. But at the same time, considering the way that injury looked at the time, I'll take a high ankle sprain over what it could have been. Now, this kind of stinks just because the season that Will Levis has had. He's been playing very well, completing under 60% of his passes, just under it, and then closing in on 2,000 yards through 8 games. That's not bad. Plus, the touchdown to interception ratio at 8-4. That's pretty good. 2-1 right there. I like what I'm seeing from Will Levis, and honestly, he's been the guy on the field that you can tell has that energy to him that really kind of fuels the team, to be quite honest with you. Something that Tannehill didn't bring, something that Malik Willis didn't bring, something that even Derrick Henry has struggled to bring at times. Just that energy, that vibe. And so I think that is why this sucks the most, because if the Titans are now going to go through the rest of the season, I think it's going to have to be without Will Levis. Now, I understand maybe he's healthy, maybe you want to play him, but he's not going to be 100% for the rest of the year. I think that's pretty much a given. When you have a high ankle sprain and the way he got twisted up on this past Sunday, there is no reason to play him throughout the rest of this season. I mean, I know that it's good to have him and you want to see him on the field, but at the same time, if you're looking at the talent perspective and what he could bring to your roster for the next 3 years now, I'm not risking a worse injury for 3 games of things that don't matter. You're already eliminated from playoff contention. Just rest him. I know it sucks, but at the same time, high ankle sprains aren't something you come back from really easily. We actually seen this before. Ryan Tannehill, that's the reason Will Levis actually is starting right now, because Ryan Tannehill got that high ankle sprain and missed a couple weeks, which opened the door for Will Levis to hop in and ultimately take the spot from Ryan Tannehill. So it's something that we've seen before, and given high ankle sprains around the league are believed to be at least a 1 to 2 week issue, sometimes even 3, he's going to miss time. I mean, I think that's pretty obvious. Obviously, nothing is confirmed yet, but I would say it's 90% chance here that he does not play this Sunday, and the odds of him playing next Sunday, well, probably around 20% that he plays then. So in my mind, if he's going to miss these next 2 games, then just miss the rest of it. I don't want to see him going out there in the last game of the season and him hurting himself again in a game that does not matter. On top of which, you're eliminated from playoff contention now. There's really not a reason to win, to be quite honest with you. In fact, you do yourself better by losing to go in and get a higher draft spot. And who knows losing better than Ryan Tannehill? So may as well play one of him. I guess you could also start Malik Willis, which kind of begs the question. There's been rumors that it's not going to be Tannehill. In fact, yesterday, Mike Vrabel basically said, well, I'm not so sure Tannehill would be the starter if Will Levis is not able to play. So if it's not Levis this Sunday, who would you like it to be? Now, are you on the tank train and you want Ryan Tannehill, or do you want to win? You want to try Malik Willis? I'm kidding. I'm dogging on Ryan Tannehill a lot, but truly, who would you like to see play this Sunday? Just for entertainment value, I think maybe the best option here. Is it Malik Willis? Then I want you to type W in the comment section. Is it Ryan Tannehill? Then I want you to type T in the comment section. Let me know who you would like to see start this Sunday, given it's pretty likely we will not see Will Levis. The depth chart actually had a little bit of shakeup to it. You have Will Levis at QB1, but for Mike Vrabel's comments yesterday, I'm going to place Malik Willis at QB2 and Tannehill at QB3. Now, there isn't exactly an official depth chart released, obviously, just yet for this week, because We don't know what's going on with Will Levis. We don't know what's happening with kind of behind the scenes. We know that he has the high ankle sprain, but Mike Vrabel didn't have a press conference today, and we probably will not hear from what exactly is going on till tomorrow at practice, where we'll kind of have to see. The Titans have been known to kind of hide some stuff sometimes, so we may not know for a little bit. But to me, if you look at this roster, you look at this QB depth chart, it has to be Malik Willis. I don't really understand if you're trying to, one, for entertainment value. Like, I just think Malik Willis brings more to the wow factor. He's got the ability to run. He's got the ability to throw it pretty well. You've seen what you had for Ryan Tannehill. He's a free agent this upcoming season. You know you're probably not going to sign him back. So why don't you go out there and let Malik Willis play? Because if he does well, then you know you have a good backup quarterback. And if he does even really well, then there's a chance that, hey, maybe there's a QB battle in the offseason between him and Will Levis. The odds of that happening, I think, are slim to none. I think Will Levis is the guy. But at the same time, I don't know if Malik Willis has gotten a true fair shot. If you say Levis is our guy and you let Malik ride out these next 3 games, you can at least know if you have a backup option in Malik Willis. Or, I mean, he's a guy that can run. There's a lot of ways you could potentially use him in the future. And hopefully, you may be able to see him in some backup QB options. And if you'd like to go see him play this week, or Ryan Tannehill, or whoever play, you want to go see the Titans, well, make sure you use Game Time, the sponsor of today's video, because you can also get $20 off your first purchase by using code TitansChat. Now, Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for sports, music, comedy, and theater events. So not just the Titans. You're going to watch some college basketball, going to watch a theater event, going to listen to some music at a concert. Well, guess what? Game Time has you covered. And you shouldn't have to worry about buying tickets. That's why Game Time gives you their best price guarantee. And they've got things like flash deals, zone deals, along with they're the best place to get the last-minute tickets. In fact, I actually used it this past weekend to go to a college basketball game. Friday night, looked up, found the tickets, went to the game Saturday morning. It's really easy, and honestly, their app is one of the most user-friendly apps ever. You go in, and within 2 clicks, I've had my tickets, and it's really, really easy. In fact, you get a little 360 view of your seat right there. So if you're going to check out the Titans, you're going to check out some college basketball, going to a concert, make sure you use Game Time, and that Titans chat code for $20 off. Well, here you go. All you got to do, download the Game Time app, and then go to the redeem code section and use code TitansChat for $20 off your first purchase. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Now, terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code TITANSCHAT, Titans Chat, no spaces, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets at the lowest price guaranteed. Let's talk a little bit about Treylon Burks, the first-round draft pick last year out of Arkansas. He was the guy that was the A.J. Brown replacement, quote-unquote. And let's just say he has not been that. But there was a little bit of promise this past Sunday against the Texans. Now, the targets weren't there, but everything else was. He caught the ball every time he was targeted. 3 for 3 with targets and receptions. Ended up with 62 yards, which you take the average, that's 20, over 20. Plus, a long of 37 is pretty nice for Treylon Burks, considering that this season, he's only had 1 game better than that, and that was week 2 where he had 70-plus yards. This has been his best game since then. Obviously, he's dealt with a knee injury back in week 4. He had the concussion against the Steelers back a couple weeks ago and missed 3 games there. I mean, he's been out for a pretty good portion of the season when you look at it. And I think the thing that you have to take away from this is, obviously, the targets weren't there. But at the same time, it looks good to see that 62-yard mark. And if he can be able to produce this week in and week out, he could potentially add another level to this wide receiver room that we haven't really gotten to see since A.J. Brown left. And honestly, it could be one of those of, I'm not going to say that this wide receiver room will ever kind of recover from that A.J. Brown trade, but at the same time, you have to look at the depth here and think, man, I kind of like what I see, not only for this year, but for the years coming. Now, DeAndre Hopkins obviously signed the 2-year contract, so he'll be back next year. Treylon Burks at wide receiver 2, well, maybe he can actually live up to that expectation throughout the rest of the season and hopefully into next season. And the Nick Westbrook-Ikhine has been really an unsung hero. Honestly, has had high snap counts and high snap percentages in really every game the Titans have played for. The targets aren't exactly there, kind of like Treylon Burks. I know Will Levis has been a guy who really loves DeAndre Hopkins and will target him even if he's not open. But if you look at this depth and you see everybody on here, D-Hop and Burks are under contract. So there you go. Your wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2 on paper are with you going into 2024. Now, like I said, Nick Westbrook-Ikhine has honestly been, I'm going to say, a better receiver than Treylon Burks and more available than Treylon Burks this season. Well, that's where we have to kind of look at the free agents that they have on that wide receiver depth chart. So Chris Moore, who has been having a above average season, I would say. I think nobody really expected him to do what he has been doing. Now, I'm not going to say it's breaking barriers and doing amazing things, but for a wide receiver of 4, the numbers he's putting up, it's pretty nice. And then Westbrook-Ikine, been a guy who's really kind of a depth piece, but honestly has been on the field consistently and usually gets a couple catches to a game. Been that kind of under route for Levis and for Tannehill. I like what I've seen from him, and it kind of depends on if you want to bring these guys back, if you want to sign a different wide receiver. There's a lot of good wide receivers on the market, and you are one of the very few teams that have really opened themselves up to a free agent market this season because of the way that you've handled your money. You're having close to right at around $100 million in cap space. So I think the question is, these guys would be nice, but maybe would you like to add a wide receiver in the offseason, whether by trade, by signing a free agent, or maybe even drafting a wide receiver? I want to know what your thoughts are for this. So type Y for yes if you think the Titans should add a wide receiver this offseason, or type in for no if you like what we've seen. You think, listen, I like this wide receiver room. Just sign back Westbrook-Ikine. Maybe try and get Chris Moore for a budget value and run it back. I mean, we saw that with Will Levis at quarterback, this wide receiver room has performed a lot better than it did with Ryan Tannehill. One more thing I want to bring up. Everybody's complaining about this whole A.J. Brown, Treylon Burks comparison. Treylon Burks played better than A.J. Brown this week. Just gonna say that. 62 yards to 56 yards. Titans on the gym, bro. I'm telling you, I agree with Joseph Beer. This is a pretty good trade, if you ask me. I'm just kidding. It will say, this is kind of funny, though, that Treylon Burks had more yards than A.J. Brown. Now, the Seahawks defense is pretty good, but obviously no Devin Witherspoon. A couple of guys out, and Jalen Hurts doesn't know how to perform in clutch scenarios. But that doesn't matter. Treylon Burks had more receiving yards than A.J. Brown. Let's give a clap. We did it, guys. Ran Carson. You kind of walked into it here, but it worked. J-Rob actually did something right on his time here in Tennessee. We appreciate you watching, as always, all jokes aside. We appreciate it, as always, and make sure you subscribe, youtube.com/Titans Today. And as always, we'll keep you updated on everything Titans related here on Titans Today. Peace out.